Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Marketing Mondays. My name is Ira Bowman. I am your host. I'm excited to have you today. If you uh, come here on a weekly basis, you might notice my background is a little bit different today. I've changed it up. We're hosting an event at the convention center Friday. It's the first Friday of November. It's the 3rd, and it's free general admission. But this right here is the backdrop. This is the backdrop that'll be on stage behind the speakers. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to help cross promote. We're going to be talking a lot about promotion today and how to specifically move more books. If you're a published book author, a lot of people, when they publish their book, they're now self-published. And so they don't necessarily have an effective marketing strategy in place to move books. And so they don't sell a lot of them because, the visibility is really low. Well, today we're going to do a deep dive, comprehensive deep dive on strategy, on things that you can do. Some of these things you can actually do for free, which is amazing. I'm going to be sharing a tool for my buddy Mike O'Connor, serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com. I'm going to show you one of the ways that you can get some extra visibility with minimal effort and zero cost. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today would require a budget. So keep that in mind. Some of these things will be free. Some of them you would need to pay for. But you can take any one of the tips or as many as the tips as you find helpful that fit your needs and apply them. Why? Well, when you take the time to write a book, and I've got several books here. In fact, on my buddy's website, I just posted a blog about everyday techniques to overcome anxiety and mental health struggles. This is a book that I put out about a month ago. It's a collaborative work. I had, I think, 10 other authors included in this particular project. But what's great is within the first 2 weeks, we went bestseller on Amazon in a variety of categories, both here in the United States and internationally. So it's an international bestseller on Amazon. How did we do that? And how can you do that? Stay tuned because that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I always appreciate it when you let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It's it's always very encouraging to know that I'm not sitting here talking to myself. So if you're on LinkedIn right now, would you do me a favor? Would you just tell me where in the world are you watching from? I'm going to actually put that in the comments too. Where in the world are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments. And also, at any time, because I'm going to be talking about a variety of techniques. If you have a question or you want a little more information, don't feel like you're interrupting. I encourage this participation. It's a full participation sport. So we've got Richard Kirstner watching us from Phoenix, and we've got my friend Dr. Marshawn Martin watching from Hilo, Hawaii, and we've got Arona watching from Uganda. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Totally appreciate the support. Like I said, I'm excited about today because I think this is one of those things where people have a hesitation or reservation about even getting out of the starting blocks and writing a book. It takes a lot for people to do that in some cases. And I know one of the reservations can be, it was for me, in full disclosure, like, okay, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to share my heart. Like in this book, specifically, probably more than any of the others, I'm sharing more about my personal story and my personal struggles with my own anxiety and stress and depression and things like that in the chapter that I wrote. So when you do that, when you take the time to write a book and you share your heart, if you don't sell any copies or very few copies, it can feel like the world is rejecting you. They're not interested or whatever. And I'm telling you that it's probably not the case. It could be a little bit of that from a small fragment of the population. Of course, that does happen for whatever reason. People like to root against people. Your success, they think, somehow minimizes their success or some nonsense like that. Anyways, don't worry about those people. The vast majority of the people are not buying. It isn't because they don't like you, or they're not rooting for you, or they're trying to say that what you have to share is not important to them, what's more likely happening is they just don't know about it. There's not enough visibility. So let me preface this whole show with a couple things. First of all, if you've taken the time to write a book and publish a book, I hope that you will take this advice and run with it because it will work. I've published at Bowman Digital Media now 4 books. All of them are either bestsellers. Well, 3 of them are bestsellers, international bestsellers, and one of them is on its way to becoming one. We had a little bit of a snafu with Amazon. So it was published and then unpublished. There was some rights issues and stuff. Anyways, Amazon can be difficult at times to work with, but now that the book is up, it's starting already to sell, which is great, and it's on its way to becoming a bestseller. But it doesn't happen by accident. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to preface this by saying is today we're talking about books. Okay. But you can actually take these same lessons, these same techniques, and apply it to other things. Whether you're a speaker or a coach, you're a small business owner, you're in a sales role, you could take a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about today, and you can apply it in a variety of ways. So let's just get that. I just want to get that cleared up so people understand there's more here that can happen than just selling books. So let's get into it. Now, in the show description, which I need to pull up, I've listed out, let me find it real quick. I've listed out some topics that I want to cover. And so I don't normally do this. I don't work off a script ever on this show. However, today I do want to go back and read that just so that everybody's clear on some of the strategies that we're going to be talking about. I'm hoping this is going to work, but it might not. I didn't think about that. Yeah, darn it. It's not showing me the show description. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to do this from memory, which is fine. These are things that I'm all familiar with anyways. Okay, so let's talk about the entire scope, if you will, of marketing and how to reach an audience. Because primarily, this becomes a visibility issue. Okay, the book is not selling once it's published, primarily because nobody knows about it. Let's just put the rubber where it meets the road. So, how do you get people that either know you or don't know you to be interested in purchasing your book? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to somehow get that information in front of them. What vehicles can you use? Well, the obvious one is social media. Most of you understand that social media can help you by making posts and content and commenting with, information on the book, pictures of the book, links to the book. So we'll cover that social media posting strategy. So write that down. I'm going to write it down too, so I can come back to it. Okay. So we're going to have a social media strategy. Now that's just one channel. Let's consider them like vehicles or channels. I don't know which is easier for you, but let's consider it a channel. Okay. So let's say there's different roads in your marketing campaign. Social media is going to be one of them. All right. Another one that a lot of people don't think about, but should think about, because actually you can drive more traffic with this than anything else on the planet. And I talk about it all the time. It's search engine optimization for Google. Okay. So if you are paying attention to the SEO value of your book, specifically that Amazon page, and let me just pull it up so everybody knows what I'm talking about. All right. So I'm going to switch something over here real quick. If we share my screen. All right. We come over here. This is the book that I was just holding in my hand. Okay. And I'm going to focus on this book today because I love this book. But it's Everyday Techniques, right? This is to overcome anxiety and other mental health struggles. That's what the book is about. So when you published your book and it became available for sale, whether it's Amazon or Barnes & Noble or yourself publishing the book, and you've got a page on your website, which we'll get to in a second, this URL, This is the URL right here. Okay, this is the URL right here. This is able and is most likely in the search results on Google somewhere. But how do you get this particular book URL in the search? Let's say someone went to Google and searched for, mental tips to help overcome anxiety and mental health struggles. Let's say they just put that exact search query in the Google search bar. How do I get this book URL, this page on Amazon or wherever it is that your book is listed for sale? How do you get that up? We're going to talk about that today. Okay. So again, no matter what your services or what you're selling or what you're trying to do, SEO is an important thing to pay attention to. So we're going to talk about SEO today. I got a special guest in the comments. I was actually just talking to him on the phone not too long ago. This is my good buddy, Mike O'Connor. If you know my story, if you've seen my first TEDx talk, you understand how important Mike O'Connor is to the success that I have online as a whole. And frankly, all the people that I help, it's like he's a part of that story, even when people don't ask. But anyways, we're going to come back to Mike O'Connor in a little bit because I'm going to share his website, Service Professionals Network. And what I just shared, yeah, I'm making him blush. He's 6'3" and he's blushing. There we go. All right. I just posted, Mike. If you check it out, it's in the draft mode on serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com. I just posted a blog about this book that I'm sharing here on SPN. So if you want to turn, he's 6'5". Well, I was, you're older and you're shrinking, brother. It happens. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyways, but I just wrote a blog about this book and posted it as a draft to or submitted it for review on SPN. So I'm going to share that in a minute. I'm hoping Mike will turn that thing on live and I can show you how that helps with SEO. And there's a social media element to Service Professionals Network too. So it's kind of like one of those, it does a little of each. There's a social media, it's a social media type of a website, but it also has a very high domain authority score. Now Mike and I are debating if he's 6'5", 6'3", or 6'4", somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Well, I'm only 5'7" either way. So you tower over me either way, brother. Okay. So we're going to talk about SEO. We're going to talk about social media. Another vehicle, another channel that people don't necessarily think about, and I want you to, because it's important, is this channel of email marketing. All right. Now, email marketing is one of those where it might be free and you might need to pay for it. In fact, social media and SEO fall into those categories too. There's things that you can do for free on SEO. There's things that you can do for free with social media. And then there's things that you would, go to Fiverr or Upwork or hire a company like ProShark or Bowman Digital Media. This is my buddy Joel Phillips owns ProShark. And of course, I own and operate Bowman Digital Media. We're both marketing companies, and we're partnered up not only for this event, this GAIN event that we're hosting in Ontario on Friday, November 3rd, but he's been in several of the books that I'm with. He and I collaborate on marketing. So, for example, when you hire Bowman Digital Media to help you with your email marketing, for example, or your ad campaigns, we partner with ProShark on those activities. So it's you don't have to do everything alone, right? In life, teamwork makes the dream work is one of these expressions. It's totally true, right? You don't have to reinvent every wheel. You don't have to invest in all the infrastructure it takes to run something. If you find good partners like I have with ProShark, then you can serve your clients or gain more ground without all the effort that's required to get these things done. So we're going to talk about email marketing. That's definitely on the list. Pardon me here while I write my list of things to talk about today. Another thing that I want to cover, and this does help with SEO, but it also just helps with visibility across the board. We're going to talk about press releases. So that's something that you may not have thought about for getting your book visibility up or whatever product or service you're trying to sell, but we're talking about books today. Press releases can be a huge help because of the gravitas of the agencies that would carry the press release. And getting a press release done is not all that expensive, but it's an effective tool. So we'll talk about press releases a little bit. We're also going to talk about this thing called social proof and gamification. And gamification is one of the things that we do to help with social proof. So it's kind of like social proof is the category, gamification is one of the levers inside that channel that you can pull to help promote anything, but especially books. It's one of those things like, for example, just a quick side on this topic. Have you ever read a book and you thought it was so good, you called a friend and you said, "Hey, Mike or Dr. Marshawn, these are two of my friends that are watching live, right? Have you ever read one of my favorite books this year? One of my absolute favorite books, and I read a lot. I read, a book or two a week. So this book I read a couple months ago, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I liked it so much that I created a study group, and I lead a study group on Thursday mornings. There's about 15 people in it, and we're covering chapter by chapter Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. That's social proof because I reached out to people and said, this book is so good. The information, the content in it is so powerful that I want to make sure that you, my friend, know about it. And what do you think most people, when they get a recommendation on a book like that, will do with it? Most likely, those people will at least look into getting the book. I would say the majority of them will probably get the book, and a lot of them will end up reading the book. And that's what we're trying to do here. So social proof is one of the things that we are definitely going to talk about. Now, another one I want to talk about, which again crosses a little bit into SEO and social media. There's a residual effect that can happen on these, but I want to talk about podcast circuits. So in other words, making the rounds on podcasts. And then I want to talk about book signings, because a lot of times when you write your own book and you self-publish, you don't think that there's an opportunity for you to have an event at the Barnes and Noble or a local bookstore, or maybe at the library. And that's just simply not the case. In fact, I want to talk about libraries too as a way to move more books. Your local libraries, how you can incorporate the local library into moving more books. Now, I have not had a single question come in yet, which means one of two things. I'm doing a good job explaining this, or you guys don't know you can ask questions, or I don't have any book publisher, any authors in the comments. So do me a favor, if you're an author or you aspire to be an author and you're watching this right now live, would you do me a favor? Would you just give me a comment and let me know that I'm speaking to either a current author, so in other words, your book is already published and it's out, or I'm talking to future authors. And here's what I'm going to do with some of that information. I'm going to cater some of what I cover and how I cover it to whoever I have in the audience. Now, if I don't have anybody who's ever published a book watching other than myself, I've got several books out. I'm in 6 books. Somebody asked me that the other day. Ira, how many books are you in right now? I'm in 6. I've got a 7th already written and submitted. It just hasn't been published yet. And I've got a couple more book projects that they're in the writing phase, right? I haven't finished them yet. So, we'll see how many I have by the end of the year. But all my books have been published in 2023. So I have 6 different book projects that have come out this year, which is, excuse me, that's not true. Some of them came out last year. So in the last year and a half, I've had 6 different book projects. In fact, my 2 latest books, this Everyday Techniques, this is my most recent release. And then this one actually came out just like 4 days before it. So these 2 books came out in the same week. They both went bestseller in the same week. That's how I know that the advice that I'm giving you actually works, because I've done it multiple times. In fact, my first book that I published where my name was on the title, the big title, this one, Business Tips from the Trenches, This was my first best-selling book that I put out that Bowman Digital Media actually published. Yeah, so Bowman Digital Media has published these 3 books for me and my friends that are in it, because each one of these are collaborative. In other words, I'm not the only author. I have multiple authors who have contributed to each of these. So, but Bowman Digital Media, we put out all of these. Now, just as a side note for any of you companies out there, if you go to Amazon and you Google, in fact, we'll do it real quick. Why tell you when I can show you? All right. So if you come over to Amazon, one of the things I love about being a book publisher now is if I come and search Bowman Digital Media in the search bar, now you can see books that I've actually put out. I don't know why this is here. I did not put this one out, but anyways, it's there. But this is my most recent release, Everyday Techniques. And then this book we put out, Explosive Business Growth Strategies. That's also one of our books. These are not. I'm not sure why they're here, but there they are. This is a book that I just put out for a lawyer, James Gray Robinson. We published this book for him, and then this is my first book. So I'm not sure why all these are here. They might have like Bowman or Media or something like that in the name, but 4 of these books were actually published by Bowman Digital Media, which is extremely exciting for me. But it's helpful too in ways that may not necessarily help you for selling more books. This is helpful for me, and the reason why we're doing this in part as Bowman Digital Media, why we're publishing books for people other than myself, for our clients, is because it is helping with Bowman Digital Media's SEO across the board. Bowman Digital Media is getting more what we call backlinks to our website throughout the process of publishing these books on Amazon, which is pretty cool. You are explaining everything well. Well, thank you, Arono. I appreciate that. All right. Not published on Amazon. I'm published on Barnes Noble. Totally fine. Everything I'm going to be talking to you about today, Marshawn, you can use despite. I have a book that's being published, the one that is written and done but not published yet. It's being put out by Simon and Schuster. So, it doesn't matter who publishes the book. So if you're self-published, if they were traditionally published, it doesn't matter. These tips will work whichever way they go. So I'll help you with that. I will be able to use similar strategies without being on Amazon. Yeah, I just answered that question. I didn't even know you asked it. So yeah, for sure. Now, let's talk about, I think the list that we have in the 35 minutes or so that we have remaining is going to be, there's more material here than I'm going to be able to cover. So I'm not going to keep adding to the list. I'm just going to start going through them. Okay. So the very first thing I want to do, I need to do a little bit of searching here. So bear with me a second. I'm going to find for you some examples of posts that I've made to help move books. Some of them, there's actually been cross promotion because this book that I'm about to share with you, some of the posts about this particular book, there's an event, there's a live event that we're hosting. That's what the backdrop behind me is for, right? So that's going to be on Friday, November 3rd. So I do talk about podcast appearances. What I didn't write on the list, I just lied unintentionally, but I'm going to talk about live events too. And actually I'm going to talk about it now. So we'll just cover it now. But as a book author, whenever you have an opportunity to go be a speaker at a live event, you want to purchase some books. I'm going to show you an example. It's kind of heavy. I might have to actually stand up. We'll see. Nope, I can do it. All right. So it says, look, no joke. It says heavy. It's heavy. What do I have here? I have a box of books that I've purchased. Now, these are paperbacks. I typically go with hardcovers, but I've got a box of these paperback books that I've purchased. I'm taking them with me to the event, and we're going to sell them there at the event. And that's one way to increase sales. Pre-buy them yourself. Make sure you go to live events as a speaker, have a table or a booth set up, and sell the books live. People are much more likely. Why? Because the barrier to entry, the what it takes to get the book, you've done all the heavy lifting. No pun intended. That box is heavy. Anyways, I'm going to sell every one of these books at that event. I have no doubt. I'm probably going to run out of books before the end of the day. And that's actually by design. Okay. I bought 50 books. There's going to be 250 people at the event. So why only 50? Well, here's an interesting thing about people. People like to be in the popular crowd, right? We all aspire, for the most part, not necessarily every single person, but most people aspire to be in the cool kids club, right? So imagine you're at an event where there's 250 people or more, and somebody's selling books, and you start seeing like every fifth person walking around with one of these books. The more people that you see carrying the book, the more likely you are to go buy that book. That's how psychology works. I don't have time to get into all of that today with the time we have remaining, but trust me, monkey see, monkey do is an expression for a reason. We call it social proof. So get yourself in live events. Why? It's going to do a variety of things. And by the way, the fact that you're a published author will help you get more, get selected more for live events. If you start applying to be a live speaker, the fact that I have multiple best-selling books, I'm a best-selling author multiple times now, 6 times total. I can put that on my credential. It's part of my resume. Now, one of the things, and I wasn't even necessarily going to share this either, but this is another thing that you can have. I call this a media kit. All right. So if you haven't seen my media kit, I'm going to share it right now. And the reason why I'm going to share it is because I'm going to show you how you can display. We're going to be talking about SEO in just a minute, but I'm going to show you how you can display your content in a way to build your resume for landing speaker gigs. Whether they're paid gigs or not is irrelevant. It's better to be in front of a live audience, whether you're getting paid or not getting paid, doesn't matter. It's an opportunity to increase your visibility. So on my media kit, what I've done here is I've got a bio and I've got a little bit about my company. And then I'm a photographer, as many of you know. So I've got some stuff on my photography. This is kind of like a LinkedIn profile, only it's only relevant to the things I'm doing now, right? This isn't backwards facing for things that are irrelevant, like my print and sales background are not addressed in here, right? But I'm a 2 times TEDx speaker, right? So what I've done, and now I'm a book author, and here's the book, right? And it's a summary of the book, and then I've got a little button on here where they can go and make the purchase of the book. And then I've got my second book, Explosive Business Growth Strategies, right? And it just goes on and on. There's my business tips from the trenches book. And this is a business leadership and diversity series that I was in. So the first 3 books I were in, I was a contributor, but I wasn't the main contributor. I was just one of the also rans, right? So the first 3 times I was published, I wasn't the main guy. All right. But anyways, so I have this created. Now I also just created, actually, I'm going to show you guys this too. This is kind of fun. I just had this made. I just added it. Let me make this bigger. Okay. So what is the point of that video? The point of that video, and it doesn't necessarily pertain to books so much as it does it's on this speaker page. Okay. So you take the books, and by the way, this is my son who has the same name because he was born on the same day as me. So, hello, son. Thank you very much. We do like that video. That video, in full disclosure, was created for me by my good friend Josh Ducharme. So if you need one of those videos made, we could make something like that for you, or I can put you in touch with Josh, and his company can make it for you. But what is the idea here? The idea here is we're taking a bunch of collateral, right? We're taking stage appearances, photos, our books, all that stuff. We're putting it together in one easy place where people can see it and digest it. And then here's all my podcast appearances. Well, not all of them because I'm on a lot, but uh, a sampling of my podcast appearances. And then these are some that are audio only because some people still do audio only shows. Now, I also write magazine articles. So I've got this and then some of my photos that were featured in Forbes magazine, which was really cool. And then I've got, a few episodes of Marketing Mondays, my industry interviews with Ira, some of the shows I don't do anymore, but I really miss doing my Cup of Joe with my buddy Joseph Stepke. And then I've got media questions on here. Now, why do I have all this set up? I have all this set up. It's a multi-purpose, but the main point of the media kit is to show people that I'm a good ready-made guest and I've done some pretty cool things, right? So you can take your book, you can take any of these podcast appearances that you're on, you can take any live events when you're on the stage. Can we get a sound check? My friend Dr. Marshawn Martin saying she can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? If you can still hear me, say yes, and if you can't, say no. Can you hear me? If you can't hear me, let me know, please, somebody, just so I know if I have an audio problem. I might not have shared the sound in that video, which kind of sucks. If I did that and then showed the video with no sound, I apologize. That might have been my bad. But anyways, I'm going to keep going. By getting on stage, okay, my son can hear me. Thank goodness. All right. So by getting on stage, by going on podcasts, by writing these books, right? You can use this in a variety of ways. Remember, I told you can do all of this stuff to sell other things, not just books. But the whole thing about this is once you have the book published, get photos of you holding the book. Get photos of other people holding the book. Create this, we call it a landing page. All right. So for social media and for SEO, this is very helpful, but I'm kind of going out of order a little bit, but I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to talk about this. So this right here is a landing page that I've created. Hang on a second. This is a landing page that I've created for the book itself. It has all kinds of things about the book are in here. Okay. So the book title, the cover of the book, right? A place to buy the book. Make it easy for them to buy the book. Then I get into what the book is. I've got a couple videos. Why? Because people love videos and that's social proof. So I tell people what the book is in this one. And then I had a Marketing Mondays episode a few weeks back where I had some of the co-authors join me on this show. And we talked about what went into the book and what motivated them to write the book and things like that. So it's in here. I've got the book preface. It's like a sampling of the book for them so they can get an idea of what the book is about. Again, another button for them to order it if after they read the preface or watched the videos, they wanted to get the book. I want to make it easy. We call these call to actions, by the way, in the development world. Then I have all the authors that are in the book. I have a bio to them so people can get to know a little bit about the people who are in the book. And this made me really happy. My brother is a co-author in this book. My brother had never been a published author in a book before, so I helped him change that status, and now he's a best-selling book author. So that was one of my highlights of this year, being able to include my brother in this particular project. But I talk about some of the tips that we cover in the book. Again, another button for them to be able to purchase it. Again, I just want to make it as easy as possible. Now, we put this up before the book actually launched, this page. So this once the project was solidified, I built this page out and I started populating it with the different content over time. So I let people know, like, hey, if you want to be the first to know anything that's coming on with the book and when the book goes live, they could sign up for this. Now, this is important. Let's talk about emails. Again, we're going to cover emails in a minute. But by getting them to, they're interested in knowing more about the book and getting them to give us their contact information every time something happened. We went on a podcast, we had an event, the book came out, whatever. I was able to email the people that signed up because I gave them a way to give me their information. So you want to set up those pages. That is what we call a landing page. Now, once the landing page was created, I started making posts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I pinned on Pinterest the cover art, right? So I pinned some of the author profile, the author bio profile photos, for example, right? Those are social media posts. And then you start using the hashtags. This is one of the things that a lot of you aren't doing. When you're writing your book, you're just, it's out on barnesandnoble.com or it's on amazon.com. And you're like, well, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to share the video sound. I think I don't want to share it again because I don't want to bore people, but it's on my media kit. If you guys want to see it, I'll put the link here in the comments. So if you want to see, just put it in the comments. So if you guys want to see that video, you can go to my media kit, and really you should probably go there and bookmark it. It can be a template of sorts for you. You may not have all the same stuff, and that is totally fine. If you just have the book and maybe you've been on a couple podcasts because you knew that you needed to do that, or you were smart and got yourself on a live stage at a live event, with photos of you, anything that you have like that, go ahead and populate it. Because again, with this, you're going to want to book live events and you're going to want to book podcast appearances to help increase your visibility. All right. So you can see the video that I made. Now that video is actually what we call a speaker reel introduction. So the purpose of that video is when I'm about to go live on stage at a live event, they will play that video as I'm walking up onto the stage, and it's kind of a hype video to you know excite the crowd and get them encouraged about what they're about to hear at the live event. So these little things, the media kit, the speaker reel videos and stuff like that, the photos of you live on stage, it all helps to build your credibility, your visibility. Again, it's not that the world is not interested in what you have to offer, but you do have to market it. You do have to make a case for it. You do have to increase the visibility of it so that people are aware of it. You want to sizzle, you want to entertain. You've got to be interesting if you want people to be interested in what you have to say, right? Okay. So on social media, of course, when the book comes out, you're going to want to post about the book. I think most of you do that. All right. But let me ask you this question. How many of you, your book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or anywhere, have you gotten reviews for the book? One of the things that you can do here is a tip. This is a social media post tip. What you can do is take the review, go to Canva or Photoshop or however you make your graphics, drop that text in quotes, give the person's name that wrote it credit, take a photo of the book cover, slap that on there. Here's the size that I would recommend. Okay. Do like 1260 by 720. That is, if you're looking at a normal screen, they're 1920 by 1080. But that mimics that ratio. Okay. So you could do a 16:9 ratio, however you want to get there. Okay. But a 16:9 ratio, set up the graphic and say in the post, look at this cool review I just got on my book. So glad people like it, and then reference something about the comment, right? It's nice to know that, let's say it was written by my friend, Dr. Marchand. She might have said, hey, it's so cool that you wrote a book to help the masses with these everyday techniques that they can use to overcome stress and anxiety and those kinds of things. She said something like that. Let's just hypothetical, right? I would take something and say, it's my pleasure to put out these everyday techniques. I hope it helps a lot of people. And your review certainly will help to that end. So thank you, right? And you make that a post. Now, if you know the person, that's even better because you can tag them in the social media post. And then what are they more likely to do when they see it? First of all, it's going to make them feel good about doing it, but also they're more likely to take that post, share it on the same platform, and put it out into more people's feeds. You see what I mean? When you can start getting people to take your post and share your content, that helps you out. So one of the things that I did, and sometimes people ask me this, right? Like in each book, it's a little bit different. But in this book, it's me and 10 other people, right? Well, technically, there's 11 other people because I have a foreword written and then 10 other co-authors. So it's me and 10 co-authors and one person who wrote the book forward. All right. So what did I do? Over a series of about a month, I made probably 15 posts and I tagged those people in every one of the posts. It's one of the reasons why I like collaborative books. I was actually talking to this a little bit to Michael Connor today when I was talking to him on the phone. It's like, one of the reasons why I like these collaborative books, it's not just that it's easier for me because I don't have to write the whole book. That's part of it. Saves me time. But also, when it comes to marketing the book after it's done, you're not in it by yourself. Even if you've self-published, which all these books technically are self-published. We publish them on Amazon via KDP. All right. So Kindle Direct Publishing, I think is what KDP stands for. But then what? Now they're all making individual posts. I'm making posts for me and I'm tagging them, and sometimes they're tagging me too. But you have like this army of people that are out there. Now, not everybody in these books has a website, but several of them do have websites. Now, with this book, because it's a business book, I think almost everybody on this book has their own website. So again, it's not only on Amazon. It's not only on Bowman Digital Media. Now it's on a variety of other websites. The more, the better. Why? Because it's about increasing visibility. So one of the things, if you're thinking about publishing a book in the future, one of the things I would strongly encourage you to consider is not writing the whole book yourself. Collaborate. Do you have to have 10? No, you could have 3, you could have 5, you could have however many you want, right? I don't recommend having more than 10. There's a variety of reasons why having more than 10 becomes problematic. We can get into that some other time if you want to pick my brain to schedule a meeting and we'll talk about it. But a collaborative book, even if it's just 2 people, it's 2 people to do the heavy lifting instead of just 1. Okay. So you can have multiple people in the book, makes it less work for you to write the book. But on the other end, once it's published, you also now have a team to help support you. Now, what if you have a book that you've written by yourself? It's already out, or it's a book like, I'll give you an example. I'm writing a book right now. It's not done. I'm writing a book on SEO. That is going to be a book that's just me. My first ever solo book. What can I do, or what can you do in that case to help you with your SEO, your social media, and all these other things we're going to talk about? Well, it's simple. You can hire a company to help you, a PR firm, so public relations firm, a marketing firm. You can go to Fiverr, Upwork, or any of these places and get some help, because there's an expression, and it's totally true. Many hands make light work, right? If you're trying to do all the heavy lifting yourself, it's going to be hard, especially like I wrote this book, Everyday Techniques to Overcome Anxiety and Mental Health Struggles. I struggle with some of these things, not as much as I used to, but that's what I wanted to write the book for, okay? To help share some of the techniques that I've that I've stumbled upon and my friends have figured out to help the masses, right? That was the idea of the book. However, if you know me, you know I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. So this isn't my wheelhouse. I'm not like this book was not written from a clinical standpoint. It's written by everyday people. Well, some of them are actually doctors, but anyways, I am not. Okay. I cannot devote my life to promoting this book in that way. Like, I'm not going to live events saying, "Hey, you should, book a counseling session with Ira Bowman." It's not. It's I have nothing to do with that, right? But I am in the marketing space, so I can promote this book from a marketing perspective, and that just happens to be a coincidence because of what I do for a living. But let's say you're not in the marketing space, right? How do you promote it? Well, there's money involved in this, but you can buy help creating social media graphics that are eye popping, that catch attention. You might need a little bit of help. Again, Canva is a free tool and there's all kinds of templates. So you can utilize some of those, but you want interesting visuals. The other thing that you really need to keep in mind, and this is true for any marketing, really for sales of any kind, for any reason, you want to identify the target audience, which I should have probably already mentioned, but I just assume people know that. So just in case you don't, let me put it right in the bullseye for you. If you don't know who it helps and how it helps them, you're going to struggle with all of this because everything needs to be written and formulated and created in a way that captures the attention of the target audience and that in a way that it will resonate with them, right? They have to like you and trust you or your product. Even if it was free to take the time to read it, they have to like you and trust you or it. So the graphics that I used, I don't know if you guys can see that because I got a little bit of glare from the lights, but that is like a yoga pose, I believe. But when I was scrolling through the photos, even though yoga isn't necessarily addressed in this book, when I was just looking at stock photos and I saw that photo. I liked the blue background. I think it's water, frankly. And I liked the position because you see people use their fingers to count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, right? To calm themselves down, like counting sheep or whatever. And I just thought, man, that kind of conveys the message that I'm going for here. There was no clinical suit. There's no like doctor couch. There's no bottle of medicine. None of those other avenues that people might turn to for relief for anxiety and mental health. So I picked that photo because I thought it would convey and resonate the message quickly with the core audience. And most of this book is written for people that are middle age or older that are stressed out, right? And I just thought that had a nice calming aesthetic to it. And so that's why I picked the photo that I did for the cover. All right. And then even the color selection of the book, we use that. Now you may be wondering, Ira, why are you talking about all this? Because if you're in that process of writing and you haven't thought about these things, you definitely want to think about it. Now, if you've already put the book out and you didn't think about these things before you wrote it, you just had something you wanted to share and you didn't really care who read it, I want you to go back and consider, now that it's out, wherever you are, consider that audience. What's going to resonate with them? Why would they buy the book? What's the biggest takeaways from the book? The reason why you need to do that is for your social media posts to be effective, you've got to have what I call quick hitters. Share the information succinctly. Okay. So in this book, for example, the big thing were the tips. And so that's why I put it. I'm just going to share the screen again. That's why I put it. Get to this right here. Tips covered in the book. Now, these were all social media posts. It's a little small, so let me read it for you. Let me see if this makes it bigger. Nah, it doesn't change it. Okay. So, walking daily to clear your mind. That's my tip. I shared that. Take the edge off stress with ha breathing from Hawaii. Dealing with what is instead of what was. That's my brother's tip. Love that. And this one, by the way, is Eric Rosen wrote that. Harness mindful growth mindset, expert help, resilience, and self-care to flourish financially. I believe that was written by Rick Loke. Love, meditate, and celebrate. Do not allow your thoughts to overpower you. Finding the peace of knowing what your true self really wants. Helping teens overcome childhood drama. This was actually written by a doctor. This was written by Dr. David Foster. Helping people move through fear, panic, overwhelmed, and freeze responses. Now, that's just some of the tips that are shared in the book. But the reason why I took the time to call those out and I put them on the book landing page, which we're going to get to in just a second for SEO. But the reason why it's there is because those are the things, like when people are reading all about the book, they're still probably wondering, well, what tips do they share? And will this actually help me? So I wanted to give people a sampling of what they really want, which is what is covered in the book. What specifically is covered in the book before I buy it, before I invest my time in reading it? Is there something in here that's going to resonate with me? Now, if you really look at the list that I shared and what I didn't share, there was a little bit of space issues in some of the things I was doing. So I had to be a little bit selective about what I had room to share. But I picked things that would appeal to conservatives. I picked things that would also appeal to liberals because this is a non-political book. But it seems like the world, especially in the United States right now, everything wants to be conservative or liberal. And in this particular space, I don't think you have to make that distinction. So I specifically tried to appeal to both sides with some buzzwords and some topics that I thought would appeal, right? Ha breathing to someone who's really conservative might not come across as, a legitimate tip, but, walking might, or dealing with what is instead of what was. That one is written by my brother. That's actually practical across the board, right? But when you see these things like why did we write, or why did we include the one about helping teens overcome childhood trauma? This is everyday techniques to help overcome stress and anxiety. So why are we talking about helping someone else overcome their stuff? Well, because my core demographic, what I'm talking about here, making sure you identify your graphic, my demographic includes people that are older, right? Mid 40s and up, most likely, are the people buying these books, right? The young kids probably not going to read this book. I've got 8 kids. None of them have read this book, right? They're not interested. Okay. So having that tip in there lets parents know, specifically those with teens or those who are about to have teens, that there's help in the book for them specifically on that topic. Okay. So a social media post could go out, something to the effect of, if you're struggling with raising your teen and you're dealing with, anger or attitude or any of those things, and it's stressing out the home, we have a chapter for you in this book, right? So you make that post, you have a graphic, you might have a picture. In that case, it's Dr. David Foster, right? So we could, I was making sure I was saying his name right. I am. Okay. So then you put that post out. You tag Dr. David Foster in it in this case. If he has a website, you might want to put a link to his website. Why? Because I want the people that need his help to know where to go to find him, not only in the book, but also on his website. Okay. So that's social media in a nutshell. You're going to create these posts. You're going to have a very clear message, short message that hits the nail on the head to your target audience. They're going to find it interesting. They're going to find it helpful. And you're basically telling them, if they need more information on that, here's where you can get it, right? You do that in your post. Now, another thing that you can do, we're going to talk about podcasts in just a little bit. We're going to be going a little bit over today, I think. Okay. But one of my suggestions is open the book up, get on video. So go to your Zoom or however you record your videos. If you can do it on your phone, it's totally okay. Read a little bit of the book, maybe a chapter, maybe just a couple paragraphs. Doesn't have to be super long, but read a little bit of it and drop that. You can drop that in your landing page, on the book landing page for the website. You can make those social media posts. You can load them just up as individual videos on YouTube. You can use it in a variety of ways. You can actually use those to drop the link to the YouTube video in an email. Again, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to have to go faster. But hopefully this is helpful, just laying the foundation. Okay. But open the book, read it. Why? Because it'll add a different element. Nobody who's read this book has heard me read the chapter out loud. Even if they know what my voice sounds like, I have not read it and put it on video. It's on my list of things to do. But that's why I will do it, because I want to continue to move more of these books into the future. So my marketing for the book is not done. What we've done so far has been effective because this is a bestseller on Amazon, right? Mission 1 accomplished. Get the book published. Mission 2 accomplished. Make it a bestseller. But now I have awards that I'm going to try to win, like New York Times best-selling author. Haven't done that yet. It's on my list. I want to work towards it. How am I going to do that? One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to open this book to my chapter and I'm going to read it on video. And then I'm going to use that on social media. I'm going to use that in emails, and I'm going to have that on the video. And I've also invited every author in this book to do the same. So if somebody wanted to, after they're all done and published, they could go to the website landing page and actually have the authors read the whole book for them. Now you're saying, Ira, won't that preclude people from buying the book? Yeah, maybe some people, but I think it'll actually help many more people to buy it. Because what do they want to know? That they can trust this thing. Once they get enough of the information to know that they can trust it, they're much more likely to invest the $10. I believe it's $10. Let's check real quick. This book is right here. Yeah. So you can purchase this book. The hardcover, $19.99. I'm a hardcover guy. Or $8.99 for the paperback. And the Kindle version is normally $3.99. I got a $3 credit because I did a shared shipping thing, and so they gave me a credit for that. By I allowed them to send me less boxes, I think is what it was. But anyways, so by reading it on video and them getting a sense of what's in the book, and I'm building the likability and the trust factor, they're more likely to invest the $3.99, $8.99, or $19.99. You understand? So there's a credibility that I'm building there, right? Rapport building, relationship building. All right. So social media, you're going to share, pointed tips that are, or topics that are covered in the book that appeal to the crowd. You're going to share graphics that you create from the reviews that you get online. I shared another post the day it went bestseller, and I actually shared the graphic for proof, visual proof of the rankings that day, so that people knew it went bestseller. They just didn't have to take my word for it. They could actually see the listing as it appeared on Amazon when it went bestseller. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I've got the videos. I'm going to share those. So I'm going to tag any collaborative partners. And the other thing that we haven't talked about, but we need to address for social media across all social media channels, is our hashtags. You want to hashtag the topics, the groups, right? So anxiety for this book, right? For this specific book that we've been talking about the whole show. I would do like anxiety, stress relief, mental health struggles, mental health, right? Book author, Ira Bowman, any of the other authors. These are some of the things that I would hashtag. Now, every platform's hashtag follower count is different. So you might have to do a little bit of research. If you're using hashtags that nobody's following, that actually can be helpful on SEO, but for social media, it doesn't really help. For social media purposes, you want to use hashtags that have, at least a medium amount of following. And I like to mix it up a little bit. Find a couple that have large followings. Find a couple, we call them micro tags when they're smaller, but maybe they have 50,000 followers or 20,000 followers. That's okay. But using ones that have like 10 followers on a platform doesn't help you so much for social media, because you're trying to get people on social media to find it. However, for SEO, it's the exact opposite. For SEO, when you use these really small, let's call them personalized hashtags, like Ira, I hashtag Every post I make pretty much has the hashtag Ira in it. And I don't know if people understand why I do that, but I want to dominate the hashtag Ira. If somebody searches hashtag Ira on Google, test it out, see what you see, and then you'll know why I do it. Okay. So for example, on this one, hashtag everyday techniques. Why would I do that? Not for social media, but for SEO. Okay. Now, talking about SEO, what can you do to help improve your SEO? This is why my buddy Mike O'Connor, hopefully he's still watching the show, but I'm going to switch gears here and I'm going to go to his website, which is called serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com. It's SPN. I'm just going to go back to the homepage and show you kind of how to do this. And I love it. I'm a sponsor, in full disclosure, of his site. And was one of my ads right there, which is pretty cool. What we call a banner ad. All right. This is serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com. Why are we talking about SEO and serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com in the same sentence? Well, good question. And here's why. The reason why is because this is a free resource that you can use to help boost your SEO. Okay. So remember I said some of the things are free, some of the things are paid. You can do what I'm about to show you can be done for free by going to serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com. Now, what kind of things are on serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com? There's a lot of stuff on here. You can build a profile, and I suggest you do it. Okay. So one of the things that I did here is I just put on, if you come to, you're going to have to sign in. So create yourself a profile. It's totally free. In fact, you can create multiple ones if you want. I have 2 of them, frankly, which I'm not going to talk about why. Just know that you can. All right. And then you have in the drop down, there's blogs. So if you want to see the posts that I've already made, you can go to posts, right? And I've done a few. So let's just look at them real quick. It's turning. Might be a little slow because I'm live. All right, here we go. So, and actually this one's already posted, which is cool. So I just made this one today. All right. But then I have other ones. 5 reasons SEO marketing success starts with ICP, which is, stands for your ideal client profile. That is the thing I was talking about earlier with your audience, your demographics, right? So read that article. I did a book review on The Go Giver. I loved this book. How to improve your website SEO without spending a fortune. Bowman Digital Media, helping business owners reach their clients. That was kind of like my intro blog a while back to SPN. So I just published this one, but how did I do it? And how can you do it? It's really simple. And Mike actually made an incredible offer to make this even easier. But to do it was really simple. Okay, so what I did is I came to blog and I hit create. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through it real quick. So you come serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com, log in, hit create. And then what you want to do is give it a title. What I did was I just said book review and then the book name. So easy. Set featured image. I just added the cover photo for the book, right? Then what I did, in full disclosure, this is, well, let me show you. I'm going to show you how I did it. 100% how I did it. Okay. What I did was I went to Amazon and I pulled this whole thing. This is what I wrote for Amazon, the description of the book. Now, we don't want the exact same content on 2 different websites because that's called plagiarism. So you don't want to do that. So what I did is I just went over to Bard. I copied that. I pasted it and I said rewrite. And then I pasted it. And then Bard rewrote it. Now I copied that and I pasted it in. I pasted it right here. Then what I did was I said at the bottom of it, buy the book on Amazon here. I added the link. I hyperlinked it by clicking on this little guy. And then I put the link to the Amazon book right there. And then what I said was, if you want to learn more about Ira Bowman, I went to my profile. So I just went here and said, hey, learn more about me on SPN here. And I copied that and I just linked it to that. So inside the article, I have a link to the book on Amazon where they can purchase. And I also have a link to my profile. So I have one internal link. I have one external link in the article. And it's important to do that. You need to have at least one internal link and one external link. You always want to do that for any blog you write, no matter what website you do it for, at least. I actually recommend on a regular basis, do 3 internal links and at least 2 external links, but that could be overkill for this particular assignment. All right. But now what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm getting another place on the internet that is going to promote the book, and it links directly to the book. Remember, I talked about this earlier. Let me go and share this again. I talked about this earlier, but how do I get this book up on the top of the page? Not only on Amazon, but even probably more important, on Google. How do you get that in the top of the search results? Look, I have a lot of competition here on this page. Okay. Some of these books are mine. This book is mine. I don't want this to be below. These books are not mine. I published this book. I published this book. I published this book. And I published this book. I don't want my books to be below these books I didn't publish. So how do I get Amazon to push this up? Well, one of the ways you get it up is by getting people to buy it. How else do you get it up? Another way that you get it up is by getting more traffic to the website, by getting Google to promote it and getting it higher on Google. What you need is you need other websites that are independent of the Amazon page to direct, we call it backlinking, but you need to build your backlinks. So SPN will allow you to not only create a free profile, but you can write a blog. You can publish a blog on the page. And when it's done, as soon as it gets indexed by Google, Google is going to see that, oh, there's another website out there that's pointing to this book, and it raises the credibility. Now imagine doing that several times over. You've got several different websites that all point back to that book. If you've got more backlinks to your book than the competitors in that topic, in this case, everyday techniques, right, to overcome anxiety. If you've got more of those than everybody else, guess what Google's going to do? Google's going to most likely put this at the top. And once you get to the top of Google on anything, it's like the floodgates open. You really need SEO for a variety of reasons, including selling books. So again, just by way of review, this is a free tip. So I want to make sure everybody gets this now. All right. Go to SPN, create a profile. Take you about 30 seconds to create your profile, and then come down into the drop down and just go to blog and then create. Okay. And then when you're done, you'll have, this is my profile here. Hang on a second. I want to go to my posts. You'll have a blog that looks like this, and I'll click on it so you can see it. Okay. So this is the page, right? So I've got the cover here, and then Mike's actually helped me out, which is cool. All right. And he'll do this for you too. If you put up a book, he will help clean it up. So what he did, he's got the publisher there, right? It's Bowman Digital Media, the date it was published, September 24th, 2023, the page count, and then the ranks that we are. Look, right now we're number 5 in behavior. We're 14 in mood disorders, 15 in psychology ebooks. So we were at one time number one, and number 2, I believe, in these categories. But anyways, over time, some other books have sold more than this, and that's totally fine. But best-selling books, being in the top 10, that's a bestseller. But in fact, I might actually go back and edit that and add the graphic that shows where it was number 1 in a couple of territories, which is pretty cool. But then again, now we've got a book review, right? Now let me show you the links, because this may or may not be obvious to you. But see, when I hover over the word Amazon, see how it changes from a point? Well, it changes from the arrow there to the finger, because there's an embedded link that takes you, if you click on that. Now he's added the button, which is really cool, right? But what I did is I just put in the link. Okay. And then if you do that over my name, it'll do the same thing, right? See how that clicks? If I click on it, it'll take you to my profile. Okay. But it literally took me 2 minutes to do this whole thing, right? And then Mike came in and fixed it up for me a little bit, which I totally appreciate. But you can do that, and that's free. Okay. You can do that for more than just your books, by the way. You can do that for pretty much anything. You got a product page. You're trying to sell more products. on Amazon, you can do the same thing. There's a lot. I mean, tens of thousands, if not more than that, Amazon listing products on serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com. It's so effective to help you move up the ranks. We call this search engine optimization, or SEO. All right. So you want to focus on that. Now, email campaigns. Email campaigns can be a variety of things, but all the stuff that you've created for social media, you could pretty much turn around and email those out. Now, if you're asking me, Ira, what if I don't have, what if, you're welcome and thank you, and literally anything, we mean anything, pretty much, right? Maybe some, there's a little bit of an area that he might not want, right? Something that's really explicit or illegal, of course, we probably wouldn't have that up there, but everything else, right, it would be fair game. For emails, the challenge for most people that I deal with, that I talk to, they go, Ira, I know what to email. I've got all this stuff created that we did for social media. We did it for websites. The problem that I have, Ira, is I don't have any contacts. I don't have a database. Now, if you're paying attention, you remember back on the landing page for the book, I have that section at the bottom where I'm asking them to give me their information so I can email them later with relevant content to the book. Yeah, probably the funniest thing on Service Professionals Network. If you have not read the blog about the poop knife, next time you're on the restroom on your phone, and don't wince at me. You know you do it. We all do it. Anyways, when you're going to the restroom, your next restroom break, and you're on the you're doing your business, get your phone out, go to Service Professionals Network, search poop knife, and you'll get some giggles out of it. Actually, another thing I wanted to show and I didn't. Let me show it real quick because it's pretty good. One of the things that I love about SPN is it's not just helpful information so you can learn a lot of cool stuff, but it's also a lot of entertainment. And this one right here, Mike just knocked it out of the park. He wrote a blog on memes. So I recommend you come here and just kind of check this out when you got some time to kill. I called my boss and asked if I could come in a little late. He said, dream on. I think that was really nice of him. Yeah. Anyways, so there you go. This is a blog all about memes. It's got a lot of cool stuff in there. So if you're looking for a way to kill some time and make some money moving more books, visit your free friendly serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com website, and there you go. All right. So with emails, the challenge for most people is they don't have the list. Well, how do you email people if you don't have a list? You don't. Not for free, anyways. But you can hire people like, remember I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. So my buddy Joel Phillips runs ProShark, and then I, of course, run Bowman Digital Media. We've combined forces for email services. So I offer email services as part of the digital marketing package or solutions at Bowman Digital Media. So you could reach out to me and say, hey, Ira, we'd like to send out an email campaign, and we'd like to send out, for example, this isn't necessarily an advertisement, but I just want to tell you as an example. And my buddy Mike was asking me this earlier. Do we offer email services? Yes, we do. Let me pull it up real quick and I'll just show you. And I like to show people things, not just tell you, because I think it helps be more effective. But we certainly do offer email marketing. It's on. If you're looking for it, you just would go to the pricing tab. Let me share my screen and show you. So you just come over to Bowman Digital Media and then go to the pricing tab, and then it's down. Just scroll down just a little bit, and there it is. It's bulk email marketing. It's $600 for 200,000 emails a month. Now, in full disclosure, we have a list that's just over 50,000 names long. That's the size of my current email distribution list, right? So we would send out 4 different emails in a month for a client for $600, which can be very effective. Now, we've tried doing it one at a time. Didn't really work. It takes too long. So these do go out in bulk, but we don't, just in full disclosure, we don't use your mail servers. So you don't have to worry about, getting blacklisted or anything like that, because it comes from an email address that we'll create for you that'll look like your email, but it's a different email server so that it doesn't hurt you. Okay. But email campaigns can be very effective. Now, if you have a list of, say, like 2,000 or more names on it, and you have all these social media post content created, you have everything you need. You have the list. You can use a service like MailChimp, I think even for free, for 2,000. I think they'll do 2,000 a day. At least that's what they used to do. I don't know if they still do it. I don't work with MailChimp, so I don't know. But services like that, if you have your own distribution list in your CRM or your ERP or whatever you're using, Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever, then you can use a service like MailChimp and send it out. And you can do that for free. So there you go. Now, again, if you don't have the list, but you want to take advantage of email marketing, which can drive a lot of website traffic, by the way, it's a very effective way to drive website traffic. It's a good tool to have inside of your SEO overall digital marketing strategy. Okay. But emailing can be very effective, because if you don't know the people on social media, they may not see your content, right? So if you have a relatively small following on all the social media platforms, a little external help might be what's needed. Okay. So, anyways, that's available to you, whether you do it yourself, you hire somebody on Fiverr or Upwork or one of those places, or you come to a professional company like Bowman Digital Media, ProShark, whatever. We can help you out. You can get the help you need. But email marketing is a very effective way to help increase the visibility of your book and to move more products. Again, if you're trying to go from obscurity to visibility, right? If you're trying to become influencer or influential, then you need to increase your visibility. Email campaigns can be very effective. Now, you want to focus on headlines, the subject lines. If you want people to read these emails, you need to have a really eye-catching, attention-grabbing headline that appeals again to your target demographic. So again, if I'm writing something for everyday techniques, I might want to say, what if you could, well, no, I'd have to think about it a little bit. I gotta not wing that off the cuff, because it's got to be something really good. But you want to include in there something to the effect of, affordable everyday techniques that you can use to reduce your anxiety and overcome some mental health struggles, right? So you put that in there. Then once they open it, you want to keep it short. Too many of these emails, people get what we call fatigue. They look at it and it's just like a run-on paragraph or run-on, white paper. There's way too much crap in these emails. I'm suggesting that you have like 3 or 4 sentences tops. Really short and sweet to the point. We wrote a book on everyday techniques to overcome anxiety and mental health struggles. You can find it available, this best-selling book, on Amazon. We think it will help you if you give it a chance. Something just real simple like that, right? And then again, maybe you've made the video. So if you were emailing about the video, it would be a link to the video. So you're not sending the actual video, the file, because it'd be too large and nobody's going to open it. It's probably not going to get through any spam filters, right? But you might take like a thumbnail, which is just a picture of the cover image for the book, and then take a little play button icon and stack it on top of that sucker somewhere so they know to click. And then when it clicks, it's hyperlinked to the YouTube channel. That'll get your YouTube video views up, and it'll help you get through the spam filter, right? And people want videos, so it can be very effective. So you just mix and match. You have some that are text only. You have some with the graphics, with the link. You might have some with the graphic. You might have made, remember the book review graphic that I talked about earlier? Hypothetically, you take the quote from the review off of Amazon or off of Barnes and Noble or off of Google, and you put it in quote marks, and you tag it right, and then you put a picture of the book. You set that up in that 16:9 ratio image. You might not link to anything there. You might just have the image, and that's totally fine, right? So there's a variety of ways to do this, but email marketing can get you a lot of attention from people who aren't even on social media or aren't on Google, but they might check their emails. Somebody asked me about text messaging. I have not done any text campaigns for book sales yet, but depending on your demographic, that might be a very effective strategy. You just want to double check and make sure that the people in your demographic are big texters. I would say the younger they are, the more successful that actually could be. So if you're writing a book for, the teens or for the people in their young 20s, they don't like to talk on the phone, they don't like to read emails, they like to text. So maybe a text campaign would be good. And again, how do you get the phone numbers? Again, that's probably something that you don't have a list for, but you can hire a company like Bowman Digital Media Pro Shark, and we can get that for you and make that campaign happen. A text, what they call SMS campaign. Okay. Podcast appearances. Podcast appearances are important for 4 reasons, a lot of reasons. First and foremost, the world is a top of mind sport, especially in this day and age where there's so much information coming at so many people in all these different ways. The first reason why it's important to be on other people's shows is because it allows you to talk all about the project and build that rapport with the audience that watches the show. So I don't care if they have 5 followers and nobody really sees their shows, or if they have 5 million followers and their shows go viral. You can make hay and sell more books by being on pretty much any podcast. And I'm going to show you a couple ways how right now. So the first way, and we've already shown this, but remember that old media kit that I had? So let's come back to that real quick. So with the media kit, I have got on here underneath the books and underneath the on-stage appearances. Here they are, podcast appearances. Now, some of these shows, when you go look at the view counts of these videos, they're very small, right? But you don't see view counts in here in the stack. You just see that Ira's been on a lot of podcasts. And so there's what we call social proof that Ira's got something, at least, that all these people find interesting enough to bring me on their show and talk about. So this one's the Entrepreneur Masters series. This one is my friend Tish, who does a technology show. This one, this is the glasses are white. This is my friend Otis, who is a former Green Beret, by the way, certified badass, but and his son Camden. So they have the Cam and Otis show. My friend James Fu had me on his show, right? This was how to maximize visibility on social media platforms. Might be relevant to today's topic, right? I was on, anyways, a whole bunch of shows, right? Different things. We were talking about different things on each of them. This one, tips from Tia, my good friend Tia Christie. She had me on her show right after my second TED Talk, which was kind of cool. This lady right here, her name is Shelby Jo Long. She wrote a book called I See Your Genius, which is a wonderful book. In fact, I'm going to stand up. I've got it right here. So she wrote this book, and it's called I See Your Genius. Okay, this is Shelby Jo Long. She is a co-author in this book, and she wrote on the same topic, right? It's just basically an abbreviated version of this whole book. But why did she do that? Because she references in this book that she wrote this book. And so by being in this book, it's going to help her sell more of these books. You see the brilliance there? Now we're also, as the graphic behind me, the step and repeat banner, kind of helps hopefully to highlight. We're having a live event. She's going to be on stage talking about this book, probably primarily when she's on stage. I'm going to have a video recording of her speech done while she's speaking. And then, of course, I'm going to be taking the photos because I'm a professional photographer. So she'll have photos of herself, and then she can take all of that, which she will, and put it up on this media kit, very much like mine, right? And then, so what she's going to have, just count the elements with me here. Okay. She has the book. She can put this on her media kit, right? She has her other book too. She's going to have pictures like this of her speaking on stage in front of a professionally printed step and repeat banner. She's going to have a video on YouTube of the speech, and Oh, she's going to have the photos. Okay, so it's the 4 things. It's the book, it's the video, it's the photos. Book, photo, videos. I'm missing something there. Anyways, she's going to have all these elements for her media kit to help populate it. And how's that going to help her? Well, it's going to do a lot of things. Remember, with SEO, you're looking for backlinks that point from some other place on the internet to the product on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever the book is, right? So building out this media kit will increase the backlinks that go to it. Also, when she goes to apply for any future speaking opportunities, there's more credential, there's more visual social proof that this is effective, that she is an effective speaker, that she's an expert in her field. She's building up her credibility, her credential. Okay. Every project that I'm in, why I'm in so many books. I'm writing these books, publishing these books for a variety of reasons, not just to share the information. I had a question from somebody. This was my first book. Okay. The first book that I put out by myself, right? So, it's a collaborative book. I'm not saying I wrote it by myself. I'm saying I was the publisher, right? Bowman Digital Media. We published this book. Somebody said to me, because it was a bestseller, they go, Ira, how much money did you make on the book? And I said, what do you mean? They said, dude, selling the book. How much money did you make selling the book? And I said, not as much as I'd like, but I made more money in a very different way by selling this book than what people think of. So the book is, I think, $24.99 if you buy the hardcover, okay, on Amazon, and I get paid commission, of course, when I sell the book. But I made very little money actually on the book. It's under $500 total, okay. So I spent more money to publish the book and advertise the book and put it out than I made in profit selling the book. And so the question was, well, Ira, why would you do that then? And I said, well, you're missing the best financial part of me putting this book out. The best financial part of me putting out business tips from the trenches was not by making a commission selling the book. It was increasing my visibility and my credential as a thought expert in what I covered in this book, SEO. And through people buying this book and reading this book, I got new customers for Bowman Digital Media from them reading this book, because now they had an insight into my brain. Remember, I was telling you, they got to know who you are, they got to like you, and they've got to trust you before they're going to buy your product or buy your service. By putting out books like this and getting them the distribution far and wide, you're increasing your opportunity to make money with the thing that you make money with. In my case, I run a digital media company, right? We help increase our clients' visibility online. That's why you should pay attention to these tips and techniques that I'm sharing today, because I will help you if you just do these things, okay? So podcast appearances are a great way for you to build your social proof, but also a lot of those folks will include backlinks to your website or to your book if you ask them to when they publish the podcast, which is why, again, I don't care if there's 5 or 5 million people who see the video. As long as it includes the backlink, it's valuable. As long as I can share the video on my own website, it's valuable. As long as I can share the podcast appearance on social media, it's valuable. As long as I can email the podcast appearance, that's 4 different channels that I can use by being a guest on somebody's podcast, regardless of how much traffic they get. Their traffic is irrelevant to me. Now, the 5th thing, if you get on a popular one, which is also awesome, I don't want to discount it, but when they have a lot of traffic, they can generate traffic and orders directly. That's the 5th channel. But you can get 4 out of the 5, even if their show is never seen by anybody. So make the podcast circuit. Go on the shows for the little people. I'll tell you something about little people. And I'm not talking about height stature here. I'm talking about, they're up and coming, they're bootstrapping, they're new, They're working hard to be a success. They need guests, right? You can't have a podcast without guests. It just doesn't work. So they need guests. They need your help. So by you not being overly picky about the show's size and how it ranks on whatever chart people are obsessed with, how many views does it get on Spotify, or where do I rank on this or rank on that? Who cares, right? By you being less picky that way, you're helping them out. Guess what you're doing? You're building a bond with them. Who do you think is going to work harder to promote your show? The little guy, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but I'm just saying, the Davids of the world are going to work harder to promote your stuff than the Goliaths will. Now, being on a Goliath show has its advantages, don't get me wrong. But I love working with the Davids. For me, not only is working with the Davids more satisfying to my personal philosophies, but also it's great for me because those are target clients for me. A lot of them need help doing the things that my company offers. So not only am I helping them and they're helping me with the show itself, it gives us an opportunity to talk about their other marketing things, right? And building those relationships. And even if they don't hire me, which a lot of them frankly can't afford to, and that's, it is what it is, but they could grow over time and then get the money to hire me. But what I'm finding even more, they become a great referral source. Like I said, Davids are going to work harder for you than Goliaths in promoting you and your services to other people that they meet. And if they're doing podcasts, they're probably meeting a lot of people. So those are great people to make friends with. Okay. I talked about book signings. Now, I just want to kind of combine this with live events because I'm 30 minutes over. So thank you if you're still watching. Thank you for watching. Okay. Book signings. Again, I've got a box of books here. I showed you. It's for the event that I've got coming up on Friday, November 3rd. So it's for my explosive business growth strategies. This is called Gain Ontario. So the GAIN event stands for Growth, Accelerating, and Networking Events. And we're going to be hosting this live event, 250 people at the Ontario Convention Center here in Southern California on Friday, November 3rd. I have 50 books that I purchased. I'm taking them with me. I'm going to be selling them at the event. Now, did I have to spend money to do that? Yes, I did. I spent about $500 to buy the books at $8.99 each, right? Plus tax. Because you got to pay the tax man. Okay. Now, at the event, there's going to be more people than books. I am very confident that I can get roughly 25% of the people at the event to buy the book. Why? Because I'm one of the co-hosts. I'm going to be on the stage. Everybody there knows me. Trust me. Everybody there is going to see me that day because I'm the photographer, right? And I'm going to be up on stage multiple times. I'm giving a speech on stage that day. All right. But what I know is going to happen, I'm confident because I've been doing this a long time. I'm going to sell the book. The book is going to sell out. And there are going to be people there who want the book that can't buy the book, the instant gratification. But that actually is going to work in my favor. So whether you buy 10 books, 20 books, 30 books, something like that, I recommend that you try to get at least 20% of the crowd size for this to work. But again, I talked about this in the beginning of the show. Imagine you're at an event and every fourth or fifth person you see is walking around with a book. Now you're going to purposely seek out to find where they got that book. You might even ask somebody, hey, where'd you get that? And then you're going to go try and buy it too. Because you don't want to miss out. There's the FOMO. We're playing into FOMO a little bit. Fear of missing out. So there's going to be a little bit of that. But also remember, just psychologically, people want to be part of the cool club, right? If everybody's got one, I want one too, right? The other thing about that, I'm going to sell more books that day, but I don't have to invest more money. I didn't have to spend $1,000 or $2,000 to buy one for everybody, even though I think everybody might want it. Now, why? Here's why. Because I can print a QR code, put it on the table, and everybody else who can't buy the book there live, I have a solution, pre-thought out solution for them. You can buy the book right now. You just can't have it today. You can buy it on Amazon. Here's where you get it. So I'm going to make it easy for them to get it. Live events. Take some books. autograph the books that you sell out, right? That could be a book signing event at a live event. So book yourself live events, grab copies of your book from wherever the distribution is, take it with you, set it up at your table, sign them, and watch what happens. You're going to sell at least the amount of books that you pre-ordered that way, but you'll sell even more. Get the QR code set up, make it easy for them to take their smartphone, take a picture, go to Amazon and buy the book, right? Now, they're not going to get the signed copy, but that's all right. If they want your autograph, print up some bookmarks or your book card, or I'm sorry, your business card or something. I don't know if you guys remember, I have this thing called Pocket Buddies. I don't have one handy, but anyways, it's like a postcard. I give them out all the time. It's got my services on it, but I've got a spot on there for notes. I can sign that. They can use that as a bookmark, right? You can use some of your marketing collateral. And in fact, if you go to the very end of the book, I didn't think of this earlier, but now I thought of it. I've got a picture of it in the book. Let me show you. We call these call to action sheets. It's the very end of my book. There's my Pocket Buddy. It's actually a little bit bigger here. It's 5.5 by 8.5, right? Usually it's 6.5 by 3.5. But anyways, so on this, you know, if I run out of books, or let me say it a different way, when I run out of books, I'm going to have a stack of these available on my table, and I'm going to have a QR code. I'm going to have them take a picture of the QR code so they can order the book, and then I'm going to sign one of these. They can use it as a bookmark inside the book. Okay. So there's some strategy for live events, book signings. Just turn any live event you go to into a book signing. You don't have to have it at Barnes and Noble. You don't have to have it, you know, you can't have it at Amazon, right? It's an online location. So you don't have to have it at a bookstore. The other thing that you should do, and I just did this myself. In fact, the very next day, one of the libraries in Moreno Valley, which is the town I live in here in Southern California, the local library is having a local author feature event. So I'm going to be there with my books, and I'm going to read a little bit from each book, just a sampling from each book. These 3 books are specifically the ones that I'm going to be reading from. So I'm going to read from these books live. I got 15 minutes in front of the audience. So I'm going to read probably about, 2 minutes worth of each book. Then I'm going to talk about the book projects themselves. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about why I write books and how they help me and stuff like that, just to give them an idea of my mindset and why I do all this stuff. But then the rest of the day, I've got a table. And guess what? I'm going to have a box of books that they can buy the books. Local event. And the other thing that I'm doing, I'm giving the library a copy of each of my books so that people can check them out and read them for free. And again, you might say, Ira, how does giving away books help me sell more books? Go back to what I said earlier about the Think and Grow Rich example. When you read a book and you love a book, what do? You call or you tell other people you think, excuse me, that you know that'll like the book. You tell them about it. And then what do? They got to go on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever, find the book and buy the book. So you give away a little and you can gain a lot. The better your book is written, the more interesting it is, the more it resonates with the target market, the more that's going to be true. So reach out to your local library, give them a copy of your book, ask them about these local author spotlight series. I'm sure most libraries do it, right? And get yourself in front of more people. Live speaking events, libraries, podcast appearances, social media posts, getting on websites like Service Professionals Network to increase your backlinks, email campaigns, all of these things combined together to give you a full palette, a full breadth of channels that you can increase visibility, increase your credibility, and move more books. We covered a lot today. I hope that it makes sense. Again, maybe you don't do everything, although I think you should strongly consider all of it. But maybe you don't want to hire people to send out emails. Okay, I understand. Maybe you did this on a shoestring budget and it's not. Like, for example, if I wasn't in the marketing space, I probably wouldn't have pushed this book as hard as I'm pushing it. But the fact is, I am in the marketing space and I want as many people in the world as possible to read this because I know stress and anxiety are something that everybody deals with to varying degrees, of course. But I think this can help a lot of people. So I'm pushing it, right? So remember, I'm going to get on video and I'm going to read a chapter of this book on video, and then I'm going to email that out to 50,000 people. That's going to happen, right? Why am I going to do that? Because that will help me sell more books. If you are an author and you published a book, that's just the first half of your goal. When you wrote the book, the goal wasn't just to be a published author, it was to get the information out there. These tips that I've shared, again, I'm going to go through the list real fast one more time. Social media posting in a smart way, right? Rewind the video if you need the notes. Search engine optimization, what we call SEO, getting your books ranked higher on Google, in large part is going to come by getting other websites to put a link from their website to your book. So being on podcasts, they're going to advertise that online. Make sure they include the link. Go to free websites like serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com, build a profile, write a blog, book review about your book. Mike O'Connor will help you promote it and he'll do it. It's all free. That's free. Okay. That's SEO. Email campaigns. Why email? Because email helps catch people who aren't paying attention to these other channels and pull them in. That's why email. Press releases. Press releases. Put out press releases about your book. It's your first book. It went bestseller. It's acclaimed review. You got somebody famous to give you a book review, whatever that happens. Like for me, I could put out a press release that I'm going to be at the library on Friday, November 3rd. I'm going to be at the convention center on, Friday, November 3rd is the convention center. I'm going to be at the library Saturday, November 4th. Okay. So I can put out a press release about that. And now what? Now it's on Google News. It's on Market Watch. It's on Fox and NBC and ABC and CBS and all these other channels that will pick up the press release, right? I can email about that too, but that helps with SEO. Okay. Social proof. Again, the books at the event, the live events, people walking around with the book. That's social proof. You see a lot of people walking around with the same thing. You're going to start to ask about it. It's a way to make it go viral. Podcast appearances help in a variety of ways. Little show, big show, anywhere in between. Take those shows, send them out as emails, send them out as social media posts, put them on a landing page about the book, right? It just helps you in a variety of ways. Get it on your media kit, build a media kit. If you haven't taken that away from this yet, you're not paying attention. You should have a media kit if you're an author. If you're a published author, you should definitely have a media kit. If you don't know how to do it, I can create one for you for $1,000. I can do it usually in about 3 days. So give me $1,000 in 3 days and I'll have you a media kit that you will be proud of. Okay. Book signings at the live events, right? When you go to do the speaking, don't just speak. Make sure you have a booth set up, a table set up somewhere so that the rest of the day, people like that speech. They like you. They like the information you shared on the stage. They're more likely to come and buy your book. Sign the books. You don't have to bring 3,000. Again, just aim at like 20 to 25% of the overall, whatever the crowd size is going to be. If it's going to be 100 people, then bring, 30 or 40 books. Bring 25 books. Totally fine. Okay. Go to your library. Talk to your library about doing a local author highlight. And I'm sure they have events throughout the year where they do that, probably once a quarter. And then make sure that you buy a copy of the book to donate to the library. Always donate. And if you've got multiple libraries in your area, go give one to all of them. Why? Because people will check out the books. If they read it and like it, then they're going to tell other people how much they like it. And then you're going to be more likely to see book sales spike because you donated, $30 worth of books to a local library. It's amazing how that can help. All right. I haven't had any questions in a while. I don't even know if anybody's still watching, frankly, because I'm way over. But I've enjoyed this episode. I hope really, truly that these tips will help you move more books. I'm confident that they will. I've tried and tested all of these techniques multiple times. I have bestsellers. Every single book that's been out for more than 2 weeks of mine is now a bestseller. Okay. If you want to have best-selling books, take the advice and the strategy I've given in the show and follow it. Do the work. Make the investment. It'll be worth it to you. If you have questions, feel free to email, message me, however you're watching this show. Send me your questions. I'm happy to answer them offline. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Marketing Mondays with Ira Bowman, all about how to sell more books, strategies to help you sell more books today. That's what we've been covering. Join me next Monday. I don't have my topic selected yet. So if you have an idea or suggestion for a show topic and you want me to cover that next week, send me that too. But join me. It's live every Monday, 11 o'clock Pacific time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. You can time correct for wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. BowmanDigitalMedia.com